Alright, welcome back to Wrestle-A-Thon, where we are looking at The Marine, starring John Cena. And if you wonder why I call him that, back in the mid-2000s, 2010s, Santino Marella, a wrestler named Santino Marella, who was an Italian wrestler, that was his character, he came out to the ring and was delivering a promo and asked who the fans' favorite superstar is. People started chanting John Cena, to which he said, "Oh, John Cena, yes, he's a good. He's a great." So that's why I call him that, John Cena. And so upon doing some research for this, I actually found out that The Marine was intended to be the first WWE Studios film, but due to some problems behind the scenes, it didn't come out till afterwards. They wanted Stone Cold Steve Austin to lead this. He was at odds with the company at the time, and then they wanted Randy Orton to do it. Well, Randy Orton had a dishonorable discharge in the Marines growing up, so that wasn't going to happen, although Randy Orton would do other films. 12 Rounds 2, which is right there, The Condemned 2, so he only does sequels, I guess. Oh, and that one, I Am What I Am movie, or whatever. But this stars John Cena as John Triton, as he tracks down a group of criminals who have kidnapped his wife. And that's the basic plot synopsis for this. But there is so much in this movie. Like, you think that's the basic plot. But it takes, I don't know, a half hour for the plot to get moving in the way you want it to. And even then, there is so much filler in this. Again, this was the early days of WWE Studios. They were trying to, he's going, there's so much filler in this movie. I don't know. I always maintain that this is the best Marine movie. Probably because I don't like The Miz as a character. And so I kind of, his movies are okay, but he can't beat John Cena. I still say Marine 2 is probably the worst, but who knows? Excuse me, my throat needs to be. What? So we start with John Triton, who is on a rescue mission. He is told by his superiors to by no means go in there and to wait for backup. But he decides that waiting for backup, it's not going to work. And he's right. Because they were about to blow these hostages up. I don't think backup, I've seen it in many TV shows and movies where you got to wait for backup, and then they don't wait for backup. And then the person who didn't wait for backup gets in trouble, and it's like, yeah, but if you waited for backup, the hostages would be dead. It's happened in so many other action movies and TV shows where it's like, you disobeyed an order. You were supposed to wait. If he had waited, the hostages would be dead. It's in every situation that I've seen. It's like, you have to wait for backup. He doesn't wait for backup. He saves the hostages. Then he gets yelled at for disobeying an order. But if he had followed that order, the hostages would be dead. Period. So he did the right thing, and he does the right thing. He goes in guns a-blazing. You can set his theme song. He goes in, double doom! Freaking, yeah. And, of course, like I just said, he gets in trouble for it. He gets discharged for not, for disobeying a direct order. But again, I'm on his side with this. He did the right thing. Because if he had waited for backup, it would be too late, and the hostages would be dead. So, and I don't know how the real military works, but in this military in movies and TV that I've seen, or any kind of high authority, it's like, no, I don't care if it worked. You didn't do what I said, so you're in trouble. Even though they did the right thing, you didn't follow the direct orders like you were supposed to, so no, nutty. So he gets discharged and sent home, where he meets his wife, Molly. I think it's Molly. Is it Molly? Or is that the one in the 12 rounds? Hold on. Kate. Excuse me. Molly is 12 rounds. It's Kate. Okay. His wife, Kate. Where, I've watched a couple of reviews and they're like, oh, how is John Cena able to have sex twice? Okay, so first of all, it's John Cena, Super Cena, but how is John Triton, the character, able to have sex twice? He doesn't. So we see him go in, he brings his wife into the bedroom, and then we cut, and he's topless, because, look, ladies, and she's in her underwear, because, look, guys, and then after a conversation about he's now got a job right away and everything, and he picks her up. She goes, "What are you doing? You're gonna make me happy." I don't think they'd actually done it yet. I think they went in the bedroom and they started, but then they stopped and went in the kitchen for something, or maybe they did. They did a thing. Sometimes you see movies on TV where they go around the entire apartment and they had just stopped in the kitchen to have the conversation. I don't know, maybe they did it before, I don't know. That is my conversation on John Cena doing it. So, So we cut to what's basically filler now. Well, first of all, we cut to the bank heist. We have Rome, played by Robert Patrick, and he is flanked by his members Morgan, Viscera, which it's gotta be a nod to Viscera, and Bennett, played by Manu Bennett. So that's a imaginative name. John Triton and Bennett. And they rob this place where he seems to hold a woman hostage to get what he wants. But it turns out this is actually his girlfriend, Angela, who's in on it. So he gets what he wants, he goes and he robs the place. And it turns out the guy who gives him the diamonds is also in on it. So what is the point of holding Angela hostage and trying to force the guy to open the door? The only reason that serves is that the people, like the other hostages and people and cops that might be watching, maybe video camera stuff, whatever, can make it look like this guy's not involved. And he even said, "You gotta make it look good, you gotta hit me." And he kills him. He shoots him, kills him, whatever. So they go to leave and they just start shooting at cops. Honestly, if they just got in their car and drove away, I think they would have been fine. The cops hadn't yet arrived. They get in the car, they drive off. No one really knows what the car looked like. They drive off, they're gone. They're going to get a different car anyway, so it didn't really matter, but we got action scenes. So instead, Rome starts shooting up at the cops. And then Morgan takes out a friggin' rocket launcher and blows the thing up. And I'm sorry, as close as Rome is when the explosion happens, he would have some damage. If not dead, he would have some burn marks on him. He was so close. In fact, it looks like they photoshopped around the explosion around him so that it wouldn't hit him. Because it would hit him. I'm sorry. No. I'm just saying. So, meanwhile, we cut to filler, where John is a security guard at this building with another security guard who I've seen in other things. I think it was an episode of Supernatural. But, And they have this guy come in who's a jackass, and guess something's gonna happen with this guy. Turns out he's a crazy ex-boyfriend who's going off on this woman who's in a few floors above. So John and the other security guard go up there to, hey, you gotta leave. And he's like, no, you don't tell me what to do. They're security. Of course they tell you what to do. They go to make him leave. And this is another thing I have a problem with. So this guy is an unbelievable asshole. He's about to leave till his two security guys show up. He's like, nope, I'm king shit. And I'm going to do what I want, basically. And so, even though this other security guy was like, hey, we just got to, you just got to let it go. You got to learn not to get in a fight. That there's times that you shouldn't fight. And then the asshole says something. He's like, you know what? This is not one of those times. So they beat up these guys, and Cena Triton ends up throwing the asshole through a window, breaking it. And he's like, well, you know what? You just screwed yourself over. I hope you guys enjoy your day, because tomorrow I'm gonna own this building, and tomorrow you guys show up nice and early because you're fired. Okay, and it turns out from what I can gather, Triton's been fired, but the other guy was suspended. Is it because Triton threw the guy through the window? But also, no, I don't think it would happen that way, because I mean, the guy even says there's cameras that showed what happened, right? And the guy's going to buy the building, but whoever owns the building here is going to look at that footage and see that it was the asshole's fault. He's the one that started it, coming in, harassing his ex-girlfriend, and started this whole thing. And he was going to leave till his security showed up, and he provoked these security guards working. So technically, it's this guy's fault. Yes, there's damage, and maybe Triton should be suspended for like a week for this, because disciplinary action, sure, maybe you're suspended for a week, something like that. But no, he gets fired. The other guy gets suspended, but he gets fired, because if he wasn't fired, we wouldn't have this. He wouldn't be able to go on a vacation with Kate that they're gonna go on when everything goes down. And again, why did he need to have a job in the first place? It's completely filler. Only because we have to reach the 1.5 hour runtime. No, this movie's 2 hours long. This movie is 92 minutes long. Excuse me. It's 92 minutes long. And we gotta reach that 90-minute runtime, so we have that filler. That's not the last filler we'd have. So we got Rome and Angela. They're about to get busy, have sex, do it. And so Rome gets a phone call from his silent partner, and tells him, "Hey, you owe me half the diamonds. You'll get the diamonds, don't worry." And then he goes to have sex with Angela. We cut to the police showing up at maybe it's not even before the police showed up at the crime scene. And we see the Detective Van Buren, who we will see throughout the film, and he's a very important character, as they show later, and that's our introduction to him. So, John and Kate decide to go on a vacation, and they stop at this gas station. And wouldn't you know it, Rome and his people are also there. There's also another filler scene that really needed to be in this movie, where they send Morgan to go get a car that they're going to try to get away in. And he's presented with a minivan. His response is, brothers don't drive minivans. And elects to get the four-door sedan, which would not fit all of them in it, but he decides to do it anyway. And I understand the gag where, oh no, he needs to have it. He looks right at the camera when he sees the sedan. He's like, I'm just like, okay. Breaking the fourth wall, I guess. I don't know. But you could have taken that scene out and say, Morgan, go get the car. And then he shows up. He's like, this is not the car that we wanted. Yeah, you want a minivan, and brothers don't drive minivans. You could have gotten out his feelings towards driving minivans without showing that entire scene. And then this only fits so later when Rome calls this guy again to get another car, which I don't think he ever actually gets. We see it's the same guy. That's it. So, yes, they're all there at the same time, and then a cop shows up. This causes the criminals to go on high alert, and again, much like with the robbery, if they just gotten in the car and drove away, if they just acted normal, got in the car, drove away, everything would be fine. But no, Morgan gets all trigger happy again, and they're forced to kidnap Kate, which again, you didn't need to, but if you didn't kidnap Kate, there'd be no reason for John Triton to follow after. So, you have to kidnap her. Kate's a plot device in this. Plain and simple. If she's not kidnapped, there's no movie. So she gets kidnapped, and John goes after him. There's an explosion. John Triton survives like 3 or 4 explosions in this movie. It's ridiculous. And he goes after them, but he doesn't get all the way there. And he's introduced to Van Buren, who shows up later. And he's like, I'm going to move heaven and earth to get my wife back. So it doesn't matter what you tell me to do, I'm going to do it anyway. But the car breaks down anyway, and they end up, I don't understand how the car breaks down. It does, because we got to stretch this out. So they're walking through the Louisiana Bayou. I don't know. Viscera gets killed, even though it looks like they're going to shoot Morgan. He shoots Viscera because, surprise! And, I don't know, we don't need the character anymore, I guess. You only start to do a bad Scarface impression. You got him on. Honestly, that's probably more the Big Lebowski, Jesus, you got him on. So, yeah. So John is on the trail again. So is Van Buren, who is chasing after these criminals because you think he's a tough police detective who wants to take them in. Well, so they evade the cops, and eventually, I'm going through, there's a lot of filler, and John Cena chasing him. At one point, it's so filled, they needed to fill for time so much that John Cena gets kidnapped by these 2 drug smugglers, or whatever they are, who believe he's a cop, even though he keeps saying he's not. They won't listen to him. He tries to tell them what's going on. They keep punching him in the face. So eventually, yeah, I'm a cop, and they're tracking me, and they hear a chopper fly over, so they freak out, and he kicks their ass and leaves. It's completely filler. I don't know what else to say. It's filler. It's filler. Eventually, though, the cops leave the bayou, because of course they do. And, Rome, Angela, Morgan, and Bennett, along with Kate, go into this rundown bar, I think it is. They still got beer there, so it's some kind of tavern or clubhouse type deal. I don't know. Lodge, I think is the word I'm searching for. And they send Morgan down to turn on the generator, which he does, but then John Triton is there and kills him. And then he sends Bennett out to do something in the swamp. I don't remember what it was. Or to get one of the river boats working, I guess. But he's not able to do that. So, but they're able to use the riverboat later. I don't know. Because he meets John Triton, and he gets killed too. And then John Triton, turns off the generator, and Van Buren shows up. And so they're going to work together. Van Buren says, I'm going to go in there, you stay here. Triton says, no, my wife's in there. Kate tries to run away, but the other 2 get a hold of him. She gets a hold of her as John Triton comes in with Van Buren, and it's revealed that Van Buren is the silent partner that was talking on the phone to him. And I think they made the mistake of putting his voice on the phone. I know he's got lines, but you're like, oh, that's Van Buren on the line clearly. But yeah, there's a shootout, Van Buren dies. And Molly is once again taken hostage by Rome and Angela. And yeah, they get away on the riverboat. And then we get more filler. Because John Triton survives another explosion, goes into the river, and is found by a cop who won't listen to him. He keeps trying to tell him, hey, I'm John Triton. I'm the one who told you my wife's kidnapped. Shut up! Shut up and get down. Hands behind your back. Movie cops, am I right? Movie and TV cops, they won't listen to you. They think they have a perpetrator. Although they're supposed to be looking for a gang of people, and there's one person. Obviously, you're wrong. This only serves so that Triton can get a hold of the riverboat, the cops' riverboat, and take off. And again, you can play the theme song here. Yeah. Eventually, he chases them down, and they abandon the cop's car because they took Van Buren's car. They abandoned his car and get in this big rig. Triton's able to get in a big rig, and he comes in. And by the way, Kate is handcuffed to the cabin of the big rig. And so John Triton comes up and he just grabs Angela and flings her out of the car into the glass of another oncoming truck, and she is dead. And Roman's like, no, I won't get laid. Oh, wait. No, he doesn't do that, but I'm just saying. He's like, and so, yeah, there's a fight, and he knocks him out, and he thinks that he kills Rome. There's another explosion, whatever. Triton goes down. He saves Molly, but there's Molly. She almost drowns. He resuscitates her, but then Rome is still alive, and they have a fight, and he basically breaks Rome's neck, killing him. Movie ends. Hey, John Triton's going to jail. He's killed so many people, beat up some others. He's stolen police property. Yeah, he's probably going to jail for a little while. But I still say the movie is pretty good. There's a lot of filler in it, but I can't give this a bad score. It's, for lack of a better term, a classic when it comes to that. It's one of the better WWE produced films, and I think it's not that bad. This is probably the worst I've ever thought of it. But it's so over the top that I gotta give it a pretty good because it's for the entertainment value alone. So what are your thoughts on the Marine? Leave no comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And up next, we're not going to do the Marine 2 right away. Oh, no. Because we got to go to another mini franchise in this WWE Studios. And that is a Stone Cold Steve Austin starring The Condemned, which I've never watched all the way through. I started watching it one time. It was on after Raw, and I couldn't get into it. So let's hope I get into it this time. So. Yeah. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.